And even Labour is beginning to think, hey, if the choice is between pouring billions more into net zero, which will make an infinitesimal impact on CO2 emissions, versus defending the country, where we need a lot more money, let's defend the country. You ask me, where will more defence spending come from in Britain and or Australia? It comes from the money you were planning to spend on net zero. What is more important? Making an infinitesimal difference in CO2 emissions, and there are other ways you can cut it anyway without this big investment, moving to gas for one, moving to nuclear will be another. There's all sorts of ways you do it. Or defending the nation, our two nations, all the democratic nations, in an age when the autocrats are on the march. Well, I know what plain people want. They're not stupid. They want the defence of the realm first, before more of Ed Miliband's mad, expensive net. He's a zealot on these matters. And Australia, I have to say, at the risk of being an unkind guest, you're a bit behind the times on this. Net zero is collapsing all over the place. It's gone in America. It's going in Britain. No one in Germany talks about it. No one in France ever talked about it in the first place. No one in Italy cares about it. It's on the way out, because we are in greater danger than at any time since the end of the Cold War. And if there's any spare money around, we should be spending it on the defence of our countries, not on a net zero zealot's expensive dreams.
So you mentioned, the Conservatives, and I'll just tell our viewers...
By the way, my answer was a bit longer.
No, it was a great answer.
I apologise for that.
He's really jealous. He doesn't normally get to speak for so long. He's really jealous. But you mentioned the Conservatives. Now, just for our viewers, many viewers will know this already, but both Boris Johnson and the Conservative leader, current Conservative leader in Britain, Kemi Badenoch, both worked for The Spectator, worked for you, as one as an editor, one on the digital side of things. So you're very familiar with both those individuals. Boris was a disaster on net zero. Tell us briefly about Kemi Badenoch and climate change.
Well, you're right that Boris Johnson and Kemi Badenoch both worked for me. I didn't fire Kemi Badenoch. So that might tell you something. Kemi Badenoch is a decent person. She has a lot of the right instincts. She is of an immigrant family. She's typical of a lot of immigrant families in Britain. She's very proud to be British, whereas you know someone's Britain if they're not proud to be British. So she's good, but and she's doing a lot of the right things. She had a very good speech at the Conservative conference a couple of weeks ago. She's trying to reposition the Conservatives into a better position they were in, to make them proper Conservatives for a start. She is a proper Conservative on these things. I think her problem is that the issue that the Conservatives in Britain face is beyond whoever leads the party. It's systemic. It is after 14 years. You see, everything people hear about Keir Starmer's Labour government, all the problems there, from net zero to mass migration out of control, to illegal immigration out of control, to the tax burden, to the size of the state, they all started under the Conservatives. Whereas Reform has a clean sheet, because it's never been in power. And I think there's something systemic that the Conservatives face, that if you are going to vote right or centre, they're more likely to want to vote Reform than Conservative. And part of the appeal of these populist right-wing parties, and this is true of Donald Trump's America, and it's true of Marine Le Pen's National Rally in France, is that they're this curious combination of social conservatism. They don't like wokery. They stand for old-fashioned social conservative family values and so on. But they're on the left economically. They're not Thatcherite. They're not Reaganite.
Protection.
They're not even John Howardite.
Yeah.
They are much more for big government, protection. I mean, I see in this country even some Conservatives even talking about restarting a car industry. Well, that ain't going to happen. Well, it ain't going to happen, period, I would suggest. But it ain't going to happen without massive government intervention. And in a way, that is popular at the moment, because the populist right lives on working class votes. And working class votes are socially conservative, but they quite like big government.
And just to pick up on your earlier point, in Britain, you'd rather have stronger defence than net zero. The politician you're referring to, Andrew Hastie, his argument is that don't spend the money you're spending on subsidies and so on for net zero. Spend it on setting up a new, some kind of manufacturing, or bring manufacturing back to these shores. So it's a similar kind of argument, the trade-off being, as you said, well, we're spending all this money on net zero and it's not doing anything except enrich the Chinese. Why don't we, if we're going to spend that money, let's spend it on X, Y, and Z.
But it involves not saving the money and reducing the deficit.
Right, exactly.
Which is the proper Thatcherite way.
100%.
It involves spending the government in another, government money in another way.
Spending, exactly. And yeah, 100%.